Alrighty, welcome everybody to the presentation tonight. I'm Trevor. I am going to be your host. And tonight we're talking a little bit about HTML. Not in too much detail, but in enough detail that I feel like a novice internet marketer should at least understand. And some of you guys are not even real novice anymore. You're more intermediate, maybe even advanced. But I still think this is a valuable discussion on HTML. And there's a couple of specific elements we're gonna look to understand it with, especially regarding links, because that's really been some of the emphasis over the last few weeks in these marketing discussions is how to get links, why they matter. This is a good prerequisite to even more of those discussions. So let me just get a survey here for those of you guys who are live with me. Well, first of all, how many of you guys know what HTML is? Or maybe you've heard of it before. How many of you guys have heard of it? Maybe we'll start there. Yeah, a lot of you guys have. The majority of you say you've at least heard of it. Okay, so if you've heard of it, great. Then what is it? Well, what is HTML? Okay, I'm seeing code. Some of you guys are saying it's code. Some of you guys are saying, Bill, this is an interesting point. You say it's the language that Google reads. Yeah, I would say that's true. Let me tell it to you this way. I mean, HTML is really the code that's behind anything you see on the internet, for the most part. So, like us looking at this page right here, I'm on w3schools.com. You guys, when you look at a web page, you see colors, right? You see links, you see pictures, you see text showing up in different ways, formatted in different ways, right? You see some advertisements here. A website is basically made up of text and images and links and all the components I just discussed with you there. Well, what we see is what we're visualizing here on the screen. But what's behind the scenes that actually creates this visual is code. It's a sort of like a computer code. Now, what's interesting about that is you guys can actually see what that code is if you right-click on the page. Okay, so I prefer to do everything in Chrome, so I'm going to do this in Google Chrome so you guys can see this better. If you guys aren't using Google Chrome, you really should be. It's a better browser. This browser I'm on is Safari, but use Chrome. Use Chrome for most of the stuff you guys do online. So if I'm on Chrome right now, and I right-click somewhere on the page, now try not to right-click on top of something like a link. Right-click in some empty area, like up here at the top. I'm going to right-click once, and you're going to see an option here to view page source. You guys see that? View page source. Okay, let me click on that. Let me show you what happens. It brings up this right here. This right here is HTML. So as I scroll down here, this is kind of what Google sees when they're studying the page that we're on right now. Right? Looks pretty easy, doesn't it? I'm sure you guys are like, no, this does not look easy. In fact, the first time I sort of started learning about it, it looked very overwhelming because it looks very much like a different language, right? As I scroll down, all of these lines, 500 pages or 500 lines of code so far, and even more. I'm going to keep scrolling. We'll see how big this is. So this is 859 lines of HTML code. And there's some other programming languages here too, but HTML is kind of the main one that we look at. Now, that's HTML. So thank goodness this isn't what we see, right, when we're looking at a computer page or a page on the internet. We see visually what comes up. But Google, of course, reads the HTML, okay? Now, why does that matter? Like, why am I explaining this to you guys right now? First of all, any good internet marketer does not need to be some sort of expert in HTML. Not even close. So if you think tonight we're going that direction, like I'm going to give you guys a huge training and you guys are going to be studying computer code and computer programming, that's not at all the case. Which is good, right? Because most of you guys probably don't want to do that anyway. I've been doing internet marketing for a lot of years, the better part of the last 10 years, and I know a lot of HTML, but not enough to where I could create this page on my own just writing code. And you guys who have websites, you guys use a software that produces this code for you. What most of you guys are using the Volusion software, which essentially allows you guys to sort of use a point-and-click interface that creates this code so that nice-looking web pages show up on the internet, right? So anyway, that's kind of the basis of what HTML code is. Now, you guys need to know a couple of things about it, which is what I'm going to show you tonight. And I thought I'd show you this website just right off the bat. This is w3schools.com. This is probably the place I would recommend you guys go if you have any questions about how to do something in HTML. Luckily, there's not going to be a lot you guys need to do, but you know, if you ever need to reference something, this is probably where it would make the most sense. And I would even encourage you guys just to probably go through their simple little course here so you can know some of the basics. I would come right here over to the left where it says HTML Introduction, and I would go through this. It's going to teach you the very basics, what it is, how it works. You even get to practice a little bit, which I'm going to sort of show you how that works here in just a second. They give you a little place right here where you can hit try it yourself, and it brings up a screen like this that shows one side of the screen as if you were writing code, okay? And then the other side of the screen over here as to what the code actually produces. So this code right here that I'm highlighting in yellow is actually producing this right here, okay? This my first heading, my first paragraph. It took all this code to produce that, okay? So again, you guys are thinking, why do I care? I use Volusion. Volusion creates this code for me. Well, you guys, as internet marketers, you need to understand some of the basics here, and that's kind of what I want to teach you guys tonight. Okay. All right. Questions so far before I move on. What HTML is, why it matters. Feel free to ask. Does that make sense? To you guys that have never heard of it before, is that clear as mud, or do you feel like that makes some sense? Okay. Most of you guys are saying, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Okay, good. It almost makes you appreciate what you see on the internet now, right? Knowing that this page right here was made up of all of that awful code. Let me take you to the site that we've kind of been using, uptownpearl.com. And same thing, if I wanted to look at the code of this page, I could right-click somewhere. Make sure it's not on like an image or whatever. Right-click like out here in the white space, and I select this View Page Source. And then yet again, I get a whole page of code. Okay. So I of course didn't write the code. The program wrote the code for me. Volusion did. If we were designing websites, 20, 25 years ago or whatever, you guys would have to know this code in order to make sense of anything. That's how websites were built, through coding like this. But the software is good now, and that's why Volusion is so valuable. Okay. So anyway, that's the code for the site. Now, I want to show you guys how to do some of your own coding, okay, or where you would even do some of your own coding. Okay, for example, I'm going to take you down here. I don't know if you guys remember this, but a few weeks ago, I talked to you guys a little bit about adding content to your homepage. And we talked about how you know, a website or a web page on the internet really needs some written content, and that it should be unique. You know, it shouldn't be copied from anywhere. And so on the home page of Uptown Pearl, we have this little bit of content down here at the very bottom that looks like this in these 3 columns. Okay. Well, when we were editing this content, I'll show you where we edit it. It's right here. There should be, well, I've got to log in first. Let me go to my account and log in. Yeah, Sam, I hear you 100%. Sam says I wouldn't be doing internet marketing if I had to do all this code stuff. Yeah, that makes 2 of us, or maybe 40 of us for everybody who's here. I don't think any of us would want to do internet marketing if we had to know that stuff. But good, smart internet marketers know at least enough to be dangerous, which is the whole reason we're chatting about this tonight. Okay, so let me go. I'm going to edit my home page, okay? So I'm going to go to, let me go to my home page. And for you guys that don't have Volusion or haven't been using it, you'll be trained on this at some point, but I'm going to edit this section right here. You see this little edit, this giant edit square right here? I'm going to click edit on it, and you get this little toolbar here. This toolbar is called a WYSIWYG. Okay? You guys are like, what? It's called what? It's called a WYSIWYG, and I can't remember even how you spell that. I'm going to look it up right now because I want to make sure you guys know what I'm talking about here. It's spelled, let's see, I think it's yeah, right there. Okay, WYSIWYG. Okay, it's called a WYSIWYG, it's an HTML editor. It's an HTML creator, so to speak. Stands for what you see is what you get. Okay, that's what this is. This little toolbar here in Volusion. Now you get this toolbar in various places, right? I'm getting it right here as I'm editing a part of my home page. But funny enough, if I went to a product and I was editing a specific product here, I'm going to go to the product. I come up here and hit edit. I get this WYSIWYG right here as well. This is a WYSIWYG. Okay, and in essence, it's a formatting tool. It's a lot like, I suppose if you were, some of you guys are probably real familiar with Microsoft Word, right? And if you're creating a Word document, you have like, don't you have some toolbars at the top that'll help you format your Word document? Right, that's probably more familiar to you guys that don't know as much about HTML or WYSIWYGs. That's normal Word functioning. If you want to create a document and bold it and italicize it and put in bulleted lists and stuff, you use that functionality in Microsoft Word. This is the same thing, only for internet pages, and it creates the code for you. So right here is this little button. This is the code button, the HTML button. Bill just asked me if WYSIWYG is from Harry Potter, and it sure sounds like it. That's funny. Maybe it is. Maybe that's where it originated from. I don't know. But here it is. If you click on this little code button, it gives me the code that makes up what's showing up on my page, or at least what's showing up in my product description here. This code that you now see, and I know this is kind of small. I'm going to try to zoom in for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. There it is. This code right here is what makes up a very simple bulleted list. Okay? The beautiful thing is you don't need to know that code to create a bulleted list. You can just do that here in Volusion using this toolbar. And there's different functions here in the toolbar, right? Like if I came down here, let me create a couple of spaces, and I type in, actually before I do this, I'm going to copy this code so we don't lose it, because I'm gonna sort of play with this little section. Let me copy this somewhere real fast. I'm going to copy it right here. And I'm going to copy it because I want it to show up again. I'm going to delete it while we're talking. So let me go back to this section. Let me just delete out all the code so we got a blank slate here. Okay, here we go, blank slate. So we're gonna just type in a sentence. We're gonna say this is a test sentence. Period. I just typed that into the normal WYSIWYG box. If I click the code box, it looks just right about the same, doesn't it? Nothing's really different about this at all. If I click the code, that's because there's no formatting on the text. It looks pretty normal. But if I wanted to bold this, and I could highlight it here and then click on this B to bold it, if I came back and checked the HTML at this point, notice there's a couple of little tags here. This is a bold tag, right? Those are HTML tags. If I click back, that's what's making this bold. Now, if I wanted to make this italic as well, I could highlight it and click the italicize button, and then I can click the code button to see what created that effect. And you can see there's the code, right? These are very, very, very simple HTML tags. All right, let's delete this out. Let's, instead of starting using the WYSIWYG editor, let's start using the code right here. So I could type in, this is just a test in the code box. If I undo the code box, it looks just the same because there's no formatting on it. But now I can write my own HTML. I can put in my own tags here. If I want to bold this, I can create in these bold tags here. And I just did that manually myself. If I come back, that bolds it. See that? So it kind of works both ways. If you know a little bit of HTML code, you could come in here and do some of your own coding. Now, most of you guys won't really need to do that because Volusion's got all the functionality that you'll need. And I'm not really here tonight to teach you about all the little ways that you can code in a bulleted list or a numbered list, or or to code in bigger text or bigger fonts. That's not the point, because I don't think you guys will really need those skills. Although, like I said earlier, it might be wise just to at least understand some of the basics of how to do that. And that's why really I would spend, a couple of hours at some point on this w3schools.com. Again, that's W and then the number 3 schools.com. And you can go through their little HTML course, and you can be just as dangerous as I am if you'd spend a couple hours on this. It will really serve you well during your time doing some internet marketing. It's definitely worth it. Okay, so Catherine, you asked a good question. You asked about the this little backslash. Well, that's a note to end the bolding that's taking place here. So let's just say I'm going to write 2 sentences. I'm going to say this is just a test, and then I'm going to say this is my second sentence. Okay, this is all in bold right now. And if I look at the HTML, you can see the bold starts at the front here where it says this is. So you put the entry tag, the beginning tag, in brackets. Or I guess that would be like a greater than or a less than greater than symbol. And you put a B in the middle. And then you finish it up with one of these closing tags. Now, if I only wanted the first sentence to be bold, I just need a closing tag here at the end of the first sentence. Okay, I'm going to type in my own closing tag, and then I'm just going to delete out that one. And that should make it to where only the first sentence is bold, if that makes sense. So if I click on that, you see that, how now only the first sentence is bold. That's because we had a bold starting tag right here, and then a bold closing tag before the second sentence. Guys, does that make any sense? That's actually one of the most simple parts of HTML. You need a closing tag whenever you do something, okay? All right, so let me get to the real reason why I'm showing you guys all of this stuff. We've been talking about links the last, I don't know, month, and we've talked about, how these links are so very valuable, and they're valuable for what, guys? Why do we talk so much about links? And I apologize if you feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but it really is so important. Why do we want to get links that point to the pages of our website? I'm seeing people are saying higher rankings, right? SEO, Google likes it. It passes trust to our site. Remember, linking is like a voting system. If one website or one page links to another page, it's almost as if that page is voting for the page that it's linking to rank higher, okay? Let's see if we can find an example of that. Right here on W3 Schools, there's a lot of different links to different places. Here's a link right here. Here's a link right here. Here's a link right here. Now, let's pretend for just a second this link on W3 Schools pointed to one of my websites. If that link pointed to one of my websites, it would help my website rank higher. That's why we obsess over getting links. Well, so I want to help you guys understand the HTML behind a link. So that, because there's actually going to be times where you probably, if there's any HTML code that you guys as internet marketers will ever need to know, it's that you'll need to be able to code your own link on occasion, okay? And I want you to understand the intuition behind it. So here's how you do it. Let's use this little editor right here. Okay, this is this editor right here. This originates from W3 Schools' little try it yourself button here on the home page. If you click try it yourself, it opens up this little tool. So I can type in whatever I want here, and if I click on see result, it shows it over here. So this is the coding section, okay, and then this is what shows up as a result, okay? So I'm going to say, let's pretend for a second that I wanted to create a link that points over to Uptown Pearl. Specifically, I want to create a link that points over to my homepage of Uptown Pearl, okay? So I come in here and I say, come visit uptownpearl.com, okay? There's the text. This is the coding section, by the way, so if I hit see result, this is how it would show up on a website. Okay, but I want to create a link, okay? And I want to do it in code. Now, the good news is, for the most part, when you guys are creating links inside Volusion, you don't have to know the code. So if I were doing this here in my product description, and I were saying, let's say I wanted to link to another complementary product, right? And this is something you guys may end up doing. So this page right here, this is a pearl necklace. Let's pretend for a second I want to link it to a set of matching pearl earrings. So in the description, I'm going to say this. I've got it in bold here. Let me get it out of bold. No bold. It's going to be difficult. I'll change it here in just a second. So I'm going to say this pearl necklace works great with this set of pearl earrings, okay? And I want to make set, or even this part right here, this set of pearl earrings, I want to make this link over to another page. In Volusion, how do I create that link? If I want to make this link to some other product that I've got, how do I actually create the link without knowing the code? Because I don't need to know the link code, guys. Okay, Ashley, you're saying highlight the chain link. All right, so let's do this first. Let me highlight what I want linked. So I've got this pearl necklace works great with, and then I'm going to link this set of pearl earrings. Let me just highlight that. And Ashley, you're saying I should click on this chain link right here. Okay, let's do that. And it says, okay, unlink or insert link. Well, we're going to insert a link. And it asks for a URL here in this new box. Okay, so guys, what's a URL? Somebody tell me what that is. It's the web address, right? Some of you guys are saying it's the address. It's the location of the web page that we're linking to. So in order for me to finish this link, I need to know what the address of the page is that I'm going to link to. So let's go find that. I'm going to open up a new tab here, and I'm going to go to Uptown Pearl. And if I'm going to link it to this specific pair of earrings that I have in mind, let me go to the earrings page and find the set of earrings that I want. We'll say it's this one right here called the Katie. I'm going to click on this and bring it to the actual product page. Well, this is the URL right up here, guys. So we're in the address bar at the top of my screen. This right here is the web address for this page. So I'm just going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to copy it. I just did a Command-C or a Control-C. That automatically copies it. And then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to paste it with Control-V or Command-V, okay? Boom. It's pasted in. That's my URL. And I've got this option here where I can open the link in a new tab. I'll show you what that does here in just a second. But for now, I'm just going to hit Insert. See how that turned that blue there? That's kind of the standard link color, right? And now if I hit the Save button, we've created a link. Now I can view this page. Let's come out here and view what this actually looks like on this product we've been working on. Here's the description. It says this pearl necklace works great with this set of pearl earrings. So you'll notice here that I get a little link action. I can click on this and it takes me over to this new product. So we just successfully created the link, right? And most web owners that are going to like link to you guys, they probably have a similar tool on their website where they just create this little chain link effect. This is very common in most of these WYSIWYGs. You can click on the chain link, put in the URL, and it'll link over to you, okay? Pretty simple, right? Does that make sense to you guys? You mean to revisit that for a sec, or are we good there? That's the power of the WYSIWYG. See, if we didn't have that there, we would have had to have coded that whole process in ourselves. Well, I'm going to show you what the code looks like. So let's come back here. Let's edit. Shoot, what product was that? That was it was one of the necklaces, wasn't it? Better not forget, because this product is for sale on our site. Oh, it's this one right here, the Chanel, I think. Yeah. Okay, it's in the description right here. So let me edit this product again. Okay, so here we are again. We're at the WYSIWYG. Let's click the code button and see what this code actually looks like. This is code that I want you guys to actually memorize, okay? So it says this, so we're looking at the code. It says this pearl necklace works great with, here's the beginning tag. The beginning of a link always starts the same way. It's a little less than symbol and then an A space href equals. Commit that to memory, guys. Okay? A space href equals, and then in quotation marks you put the location where you want to send the link. Okay? So there's the web address. It's in quotation marks, and then you put a greater than tag. Okay? To finish up the first part. That's the opening part of the link. Then you put in the words that you want linked, this set of pearl earrings, and then you finish with this tag right here. That's the closing tag. It's like the B tag. The B tag was for bold. The A tag here is for a link. You put in a closing A tag with that little backslash. That actually creates the link. Okay? Makes sense so far? So we're going to code one ourselves here. Let's do this. Let's code our own. Okay, I'm going to say, I know this isn't related to pearls, but I'm going to say, get your sports news from ESPN! Exclamation point or exclamation mark. Okay? That's where I go for my sporting news, right? I go to ESPN. Well, if I'm in the code and I actually want to create a link here, what's my first step? before I even start the code, what's my first step as I'm going to create this link? Because I actually want to link ESPN, the words ESPN, over to the ESPN homepage. And Vince, your question, is there a reason why I linked in the last example this set of pearl earrings instead of just pearl earrings? No, not any reason in particular at all. Not any reason. You can kind of link what you want, I guess, and people will. People will link whatever words they want. Let me just tell you guys, the first step is let's go get the URL, right? Some of you guys said that. Let's get the web address. Now, it's probably just www.espn.com, right? But if you want to be careful and make sure you get it right, let's go get it. Let me go to espn.com and make sure I grab the full address, because you need the full address. You need the HTTP part at the start. So let me copy this. I'm going to copy. It's actually espn.go.com apparently. So I'm going to go back to my product. And I've got the web address. I'll copy it right here so you guys can see it. And it has to be that way. You can't just put in www.espn.com. That doesn't work. You have to have the full address, which would include the HTTP, okay? That's the complete URL. This really is just a portion of it. Okay? All right, so now what do? I've got the URL, and I want to make ESPN link. What's the next step? What's the starting tag? The starting tag for a link. Yeah, good. So LJ says it's this. You put in this symbol right here, a space href equals, and then I put in my quotation, and then I can put in my URL. I'm just going to copy that in right here. Okay? And then I'm going to finish it with a quotation mark and a closing tag. That's my entry. My beginning part of my link. Okay? What's the closing tag look like? I've got to close this off, right? If I don't close it off, it'll make it to where everything beyond this point is going to be linked. So we have to close it. Yep, you need one of these right here, right? Okay, so let's undo this. Let's change it back to normal. And there you go. That should work. If I save that and I view it, I'm going to view it live. Sure enough, that links, right? And if I click on it, that takes me over to ESPN. Okay, so that's the simple way right there to code in a link. Now, a couple of definitions here, guys. The most important part of this whole process, and really why we're kind of having this discussion, is Google places a lot of emphasis on the words that are linked. Okay? They keep track of it. So if for example, a lot of links that are pointing to that homepage of ESPN use ESPN as the linked text, this right here is actually called the anchor text. So remember that. And you'll see this in the internet marketing world. If you've been submitting your site to some directories, which some of you may have been doing, this may sound familiar. Anchor text is the actual text on the page that is linked. Okay? So in this link right here, the anchor text is just ESPN with an exclamation mark or an exclamation point. If I had this whole thing as a link, and I'll change this right now, I'm going to just do this the easy way. I'm going to highlight it here. I'm going to click this, and I'm going to do unlink. See how much easier that was? I got rid of the link. And I want this whole thing to link. I could highlight all of it. I could click the chain link. I could do insert link. And I could do espn.com and hit insert. And that makes all of it link. So in this case, the anchor text is all of it. The anchor text of this link is get your sports news from ESPN. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Okay, yeah, that making sense, guys? So define to me really quick, what's anchor text based on what I just said? What is anchor text as it relates to links? If we look at the code here, this should make sense, right? Since the whole sentence links, we have the starting tag before get and the closing tag at the very end of ESPN. That made this whole thing link right here. Yeah, the anchor text is whatever is linked, whatever piece of text is linked. If we go back, let's go to a normal website. In fact, we'll just go to ESPN here. Okay, if you look here, there's links all over the page, right? And I should be able to point out what the anchor text of each link is. Right here, this is a link. The anchor text is the word column. I know that's probably really small for you guys. Let me try to zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, this one right here, money not well spent, Barnwell. The name Barnwell is linked. That's the anchor text. Over here, you can see this whole thing is linked. So the anchor text of this link is predicting 2015 MLB disappointments. Okay, so it's just the text. That's the important thing. It's just the text that makes up the link. But so how this all relates to marketing, I know this is a big sort of roundabout way of making this point right here, and this is the big takeaway for you guys tonight. The anchor text is extremely valuable. Okay, so I guess there's a number of different examples I could use for this, but I'll just put it this way: if your website out on the internet, so let's take my website, this Pearl website, right? Do you remember I believe it's my home page. Actually, I'm going to stay on this page so I don't forget to change that. Let me go back out to it here. Okay, so this is my home page right here. I'm actually trying to get my home page to rank for a very specific keyword phrase, right? I've optimized it for a specific keyword phrase, and if you looked at it closely enough, I bet you could figure out what that keyword phrase is. In fact, a little trick I'll show you, and you can do this with any web page, is I'm going to do another one of these view sources. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to select View Page Source. This is for my home page. And what's interesting is in the source code here, you can see the meta information, the meta title, and the meta description for my home page. Here's the meta description right here. See that meta name equals description. This is all in the code. This is the meta title right here. Based on what you guys are seeing here in the meta title and the meta description, what would you venture to guess is my target keyword phrase for this page? What am I trying to rank for this page? I'll read you guys the meta description. It says a range of beautiful and authentic pearl jewelry, free shipping on all orders, shop real pearl necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more. That's the description. And then my meta title is pearl jewelry - free shipping at uptownpearl.com. What's my target keyword phrase there? What am I trying to get this page to rank for? It's pretty obvious, right? Pearl jewelry. And if you could even check the rest of my code. In fact, I'm going to do, I don't know if you guys ever do this on your browsers, but if you do a Control F, it brings up this little search box right here. And if I typed in pearl jewelry, it's really cool. On Google Chrome, it shows me the number of times pearl jewelry comes up on the page. You can see right here, this is the 3rd time out of 11 times throughout the code. And if I click enter, it'll find all the occasions where it shows up. See that? I keep hitting enter. So the first occasion is up here in the meta description. The second occasion is right here in the meta title. And if I keep hitting enter, I'll show you the other places. Here's an alt tag. You remember when we were talking about optimization? Here's an alt tag where Pearl Jewelry comes up on the home page. If I do it again, there's a second alt tag that it shows up right here. Here's another one right here. This is if you look closely, where this is actually showing up here in the code, it says Pearl Jewelry from Uptown Pearl. If you look at the code, and you guys will get better at seeing stuff like this, you can see right here, look at this, this is an H1 tag. You can see the H1 start, and then it has a bunch of code, and you can see the H1 closing tag right here. So this right here, this Pearl Jewelry from Uptown Pearl is enclosed about by an H tag. You see that? And then going down, you can see it just used in normal text here a bunch of times. So as Google scans this code, guys, what do you think? What do you think they're gonna come to the conclusion about my homepage as they look at it? Because this is what Google's looking at. They don't see the visual side; they just see the code. They're gonna think my page is about Pearl Jewelry, right? I mean, it's used 11 times. Now you can see why. You know, you got to be careful because you don't want to use it too much. Because if you get using it too much, it seems like you're trying too hard, and that could even hurt you a little bit. So that's why we say use it in your title. I won't go back over the optimization, but be smart about your optimization. Don't try to overuse your keyword phrase. So I show all of this to you guys here because Google, I'm obviously trying to get this page to rank for the keywords Pearl Jewelry. Well, in my link building that I'm out there doing right now for my homepage, I'm also in my links trying to get some of the people who are linking back to my homepage. I'm trying to get them to link to my homepage with some very specific anchor text, right? What would that anchor text be? What would I want people to use as anchor text if they were going to link to my homepage? You guys remember what anchor text is, right? If somebody links to me, it's the text that they have in the link itself. So if ESPN.com was linking over to my website, and I know that wouldn't happen, but if it did, and I had a choice as an internet marketer, I would want that link to actually use the keyword phrase that my homepage is trying to rank for, if that makes sense. That's why all of this matters. That's kind of why I'm talking to you guys about links and anchor text tonight, because I want you to understand in your own link building campaigns that you guys are going to start running. Maybe as you're doing some directories, you guys will notice that sometimes you have the choice when you're getting links from different places as to what that anchor text actually will be. And if I'm trying to get my homepage to rank high for Pearl Jewelry, I would love some of my links to actually say Pearl Jewelry in the anchor text, because that's a positive signal to Google that I should be ranking high for Pearl Jewelry. Not only am I getting a link, but that link says Pearl Jewelry, and it's pointing to a page that's clearly optimized for Pearl Jewelry. So what's going to happen when Google sees that? They're going to put 2 and 2 together, and they're probably going to boost up my ranking a little bit. Now, you got to be careful, though, guys. You don't want to overuse that. So if I had, say, for example, I had 10 links that are going to my homepage from all across the internet. You know, maybe I've got a link from a blog that's pointing to me, and I've got a link from a directory, and I've got a couple of links from maybe some local news sites and whatever. I've got links from all these different places. If all of the links say the same thing, if they all say Pearl Jewelry and link to me, that could actually be detrimental. So I don't want it to be overused. I'd like a few of those links to say Pearl Jewelry, but maybe a few of them use different anchor text. Maybe the anchor text is just, you know, click here. You guys see that all the time, right? You guys see links that just say click here, and then they point to another website. The anchor text is click here. I want some of that. So I guess the point I'm trying to make to you guys tonight is you want a diversity in your link building. You want a diversity of various kinds of anchor text. Guys, does that make sense? Stop me if some of that's not clear. I'm going to go back over here to this product for just a second. So let's pretend for a second this is somebody else's site, and they've agreed to link to me. It would be nice if they said, come see a great site all about pearl jewelry. And they made this text right here, the anchor text. They linked it to my homepage, uptownpearl.com, insert, and they saved that. Because that right there would be a really good positive signal to Google. Yeah, making sense, guys? So however, like I'm saying, I don't want all of your links to look like that, because that looks fishy to Google as well. There's, again, you're walking a sort of, it's a fine line. It's kind of a tightrope. You'd like to see some of this, but you'd also like to see some people just say, you know, maybe this would be an example. Like I said here earlier, click here to see a great site. You would like this kind of text that's not necessarily a keyword anchor. It's just normal text. Click here. You would like to see that as a link. And that points to my home page. That's why, and I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this before, but do you remember a few weeks back, it was in one of the webinars, do you remember when we talked about how a lot of people ran this marketing campaign? It's called a Google bomb. Okay, and it's where they a bunch of Democrats ran this campaign against President Bush. You guys remember this story? And what do you guys remember? What they got his biography page to show up for in Google? You guys remember this? So George Bush's, like, his biography, like his WhiteHouse.gov biography page. Yeah, Bill, you got it right. It's for this right here. Okay. They managed to make it to where if you typed in miserable failure into Google and did a search, it actually brought up his biography, right? And it was a big, you know, it was big in the news and stuff. And they did that, so that happened as a result of this concept that we're teaching tonight. That if you got enough people on the internet that owned websites to create this link, okay, just like this, and to put in, you know, whatever the link was. I don't know what it was exactly. whitehouse.gov/ you know, but whatever it was. I don't know what the link was. But if you got enough people who own different websites across the internet that put that in, and this was the anchor text, that it ranked #1 in Google for that specific search term. So that concept, it does work. Like, that's a real internet marketing concept that was sort of leveraged and then, of course, made a big news story. But we use it today just to kind of teach you guys that that's the power of good anchor text and a link. And so how you can use this practically right now, even right now on your guys' websites, is not even from like external links from other websites out on the internet. I'm talking about from within your website. You can do some of this that'll actually carry some value. Every once in a while, if you're referring to your homepage in some text, or if you're writing a product description like this is a better example. If we're creating a product description like we were doing earlier, where there's a complementary product that would make sense to kind of advertise in that product description, if we'll link it using good keyword-rich anchor text, that can help that other page rank for what we've been talking about. Let me fix this real quick, and then I'll show you that example, and then we'll finish up. I copied what we had originally. Let me find it. I forget where I put that code. You guys ever get so many Windows up, you don't even know what you're doing anymore. I do that all the time. Oh, here it is. This was the original code. I just wanted to copy this and keep it so that I could take it back and paste it in after we were done playing on this page. Okay, let me put this code back in. Right, I can paste this code back in, click this, and then we're good. It's like we were never here. So we kind of did this on one of my pages recently. It was when we did an optimization for a category. I think it was the bracelets category. Remember when we added a bunch of content to this page right here, and then towards the bottom, I think yeah. So you see all these links right here. We've got anchor text and different links going different places. You can tell it's in pink. So there's one that's called "See This." That anchor text is pointing to Wikipedia. This right here, this product is called the Delilah. If you click on this, it'll take you to a product page. Check it out today. That's anchor text. See how none of this is really keyword rich? Really, when I'm linking to a product like this, I should probably take that opportunity and use whatever my target keyword for this page actually is and make that the anchor text. Not all the time, but some of the time. You want to mix it up a little bit. Like we talked about earlier, you want to use your target phrase as the anchor text, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes it would be appropriate just to use the product name in this case, or click here to see more, or like this, check it out today, right? Some sort of an action bit of anchor text that's not necessarily keyword rich. With everything that you do with Google, guys, as you're trying to optimize your pages, you want to do it to a point, but if you overdo it, then it can be more damaging than helpful in the end, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Let me see what questions you guys have, and then we'll probably finish up. There's one other element. We don't really have time to cover this. I'll just mention it. There's a quality about a link that you can make it to where, how we talked about how if I link to a page, it's like I'm voting for that page to rank higher, right? We talked about that a little bit. Well, there's a quality that you can put in the code called nofollow. Okay, let me just show you what this would be like really, really fast, and then we'll be done. Nofollow would be, let me find one of these links in the code here. Okay, I know this looks like just a whole bunch of garbage code, but this is what the page looks like. Let's find one of those links. We need to find the ahref, one of them here. Oh, here's one right here. There's a link. That's the link to the Delilah. So there's a quality you can put in here that looks like this: rel equals nofollow. Okay, and you'll hear more about this as you get into more advanced internet marketing. But if that quality is tagged onto the link, it makes it to where this link exists, but it exists without a vote. So if that quality is tacked onto a link that's going to one of my pages, it's almost as if that link isn't really helping me at all to rank higher, because it's got that quality in it. And so I share that with you guys because if you're out there building links, you generally want links that don't have that tag on it, because those tend to be of far less value. And there's a lot of types of links out there that'll give you the nofollow tag that makes it to where the link didn't help you nearly as much. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. We'll maybe talk about that more in other webinars, but for an internet marketer, you typically don't want a rel equals nofollow. And again, you can figure that out. Like if you see a link that's coming to you from another website, you can view the page code or view the source code like we've been doing today, and you can find that link in the code, and you can see if it has one of those nofollow tags. If it does, it's not nearly as good of a link as it could be. Okay? So anyway, I'll leave it at that. I want to get over to your questions, and then we'll get finished up. Let me save this, and we'll be out. Okay. All right, so Frank, this goes back to your original question. You say, will the Volusion WYSIWYG in Volusion override what has been copied and pasted from Microsoft Word? Okay, so this is a good point. What I want you to do, Frank, is look at your products that you've copied from Microsoft Word. So if you've written up your content, you copied it in Microsoft Word, and then you went in and pasted it into Volusion, look at the code, because there's probably a bunch of garbage code in there, and that's you typically don't want that code in any of your descriptions. So I would advise against it, just like Davin said. The code's not very clean. It's full of a bunch of tags that you don't want. It's very cluttered to the search engine, and that's why typically we don't want to have you do that. But that's only when you're copying and paste. But that can happen too, guys, when you copy and paste a product description from like a supplier of yours. If you just copy and paste it and throw it right in there, it may carry all that formatting from your supplier, and it'll bring it into the code, and that's not what you want. You want really nice, clean code. So typically what I do is I just write out my description right there in the description section, rather than doing it all in Word and copying and pasting it over, so I can avoid all that garbage code. Don, you say, I have tried Chrome before, and it freezes up. One of the coaches said that she uses Firefox and has never had a problem. Have they fixed Chrome to not freeze up? I haven't had that experience with Chrome at all. Chrome typically works best for me. And statistically, Don, I think it's 65% of people use Chrome versus only 20% use Firefox. So, I mean, you've got quite a few more people that use Chrome, and it typically works pretty flawlessly. If it's not working as well on your machine, then maybe you go ahead and use Firefox. But typically Chrome is supposed to work much better. That's why everybody uses it. Catherine asks, how do we delete or get rid of those nofollow tags, the ones that we talked about at the very end? And the answer is you really can't. It's the decision of the person that's linking to you. And so, you could, if you've got any control over the person who's linking to you, if it's a friend or if it's, somebody you've worked out something with, where, you were maybe offering to do a guest blog post on their site, as long as they were willing to link back to you. If you've got any sort of relationship with the person that's creating the link, you can simply ask them to not make it a no follow. But a lot of times you can't really do anything about it, and that's okay too, because like we've talked about before, in a really good, diverse profile of links, when a search engine looks over across all the links you've generated over the years, Catherine, they're going to want to see a healthy balance of follow links, normal links, and also no follow links, because to them that means you were accumulating links naturally over time. So you should really have both, but you'd really prefer to have those no follow tags not there. Yeah, so LJ, yeah, when you're doing anytime you're doing any work on a website, you usually don't want to do a lot of copy and paste. You can do it originally when you're getting products on, you can copy and paste, but after that you want to keep the code clean and maybe redo the descriptions cleanly in the code, so you don't have all that garbage code coming over. Catherine, I'm not sure. Email me about that. I'll get back to you on that other question about the trademark or registration marks. Laura, if you've already done it in Microsoft Word, just go check your code and check to see if it looks like it has a bunch of garbage in it. It might be okay, but generally it passes on a bunch of crappy code. So you may want to consider, maybe rewriting some of that, or filtering out some of that code. We can talk about that. Yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, we do, Laura. We usually just, I mean, you can retype it. I mean, I would probably just copy and paste the actual text and put it into, well, I'll show you how to get rid of it. So let's say I'm grabbing, let me go to Walmart real quick. I'll do this and then we'll finish up, guys. Sorry, I'm way over time. Let's say my supplier is Walmart. Let me just grab a product here real quick. Okay, assuming Walmart's my supplier here. Okay, if I copied this exactly, just like this, I'm going to copy it. And then if I added a product over here in Volusion, products, add. If I paste it right here, see how it keeps the formatting? That looks exactly the way it looked like on Walmart. But if I look at the code, it carries the code from Walmart. Now that's not necessarily a problem, but I actually don't really want this in the end because I don't want it to carry the exact same code because it'll look like to Google that I copied it, and that's not going to help my rankings. So if you want to get rid of the code completely, when you copy and paste this into your Volusion, so let's delete this out. Let's delete out all the garbage here. So let's say I've copied from Walmart. I can paste it in here after I click on the HTML. If I paste it into the HTML box and then click on it again, it gives me the content just in its pure form. There's no code in it at all. And then I could edit it and change it up from here. You have to paste it into the HTML box first, and then click it again. And that'll give you just the pure content, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, get back in touch with me or your coach because we're way over time. I've got to finish up. Okay, a lot of you guys are saying that makes sense, so that's good. Okay. And yeah, Bill, so I'm saying rewrite. So initially, so just to clarify all this, guys, when you're initially doing your website, it is 100% okay to copy and paste that same formatting into your descriptions. Later, though, as you're optimizing your site, it would be better and cleaner in the code if you sort of copied it like I did here, and then came in here and broke it up and put in your own bolding and spacing and stuff so it keeps the code clean. That's the point. Okay? All right, guys. Well, action items for you tonight. As you're doing your optimization and stuff on your site, make sure to link internally. Those links will help your site. Use w3schools.com to learn a little more about HTML. Again, you don't need to be an expert. We want to know just enough to be dangerous. Internet marketers need to know the basics of HTML. Although we appreciate things like Volusion that do a lot of it for us, I like you to understand the intuition behind it so you can better understand some of the things we do that are a little more advanced later on in the program. Okay? All right, guys, thanks for coming. We will see you same time, same place next week. Sure appreciate you guys. Thanks again. Bye.